this video, I'm going to answer all of the questions that I mostly get asked when I'm spinning live. So let's start. The very first question I get, what do you do if the thread comes apart, breaks, rips, undone, however, while you're spinning? Well, what you do is you just basically reattach the thread if it came undone, like how it just did on my end. Right now I am spinning single spun thread. I'm not plying. And if it breaks while you're plying, you see if you can reattach it or not. It depends. And in my personal experience, it doesn't really break when you're plying. And what you do is you just reattach the roving, the fluffy stuff, straight next on top of the previously spun thread. This is the single spun thread that I'm making. And you just keep going like nothing happened, right there. The next question I get a lot is if I get burns on my fingers, if it hurts me in any way. And you don't really get any burns at all on your hands because there's lanolin here. I don't know anything about unnatural fibers, but with natural fibers like this all natural undyed merino wool, and even if it were dyed, there's still lanolin no matter how much you've washed it. And also I am barely touching it. So I'm just guiding the roving, the fluffy stuff, and I'm barely pulling. When you first start, you tense up and you hold it tight, your wrist gets tired. So that answers another question I get, if besides burns, my hands get tired. And the tiredness does not happen unless when I was a newbie and I was starting and I was tensing up and trying to control it too much. Now, all I do is just guide the string. There's no burn, no pain. My hands don't get tired. And I can go on for hours. The next question I get a lot is if it's a good exercise. And unfortunately, it is not, because it's just like driving a car. The pedals are very light. There's no pressure, no anything from the pains. It's just like when you're driving a car, you can drive for hours and your feet don't feel any different than when you got in the car at first. Same thing happens here. One time my spindle got jammed and the pedals became truly like an exercise machine for your calves. And to tell you the truth, not only can't you spin at all when it's that tight because your brain focuses on pushing instead of spinning, your brain needs to be able to only focus right here. And if your feet feel like they're exercising, the brain can't do both. So that was a very unpleasant experience when the spindle did, unfortunately, end up feeling like a workout machine for your legs. The next question I get a lot is, why do I do this? And why not just use the store-bought yarn? And the simple answer to that is that I cannot find the store-bought yarns. Well, there are more than one reasons, really. But one of the big reasons is, well, first of all, I love it. For me, this is like therapy. I find it not only extremely relaxing. Yeah, look at that. My brain is not able to function right now, both spinning and talking about serious topics, just like I mentioned earlier. Can't spin and think about anything else. So not only do I absolutely enjoy this tremendously, I find pleasure in this, satisfaction, fulfillment, therapeutic effects, stress relief, blah, 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 relaxation, you name it. But I also could never quite find yarns that really were what I wanted them to be. And another thing is, it's extremely hard to find pure, unadulterated, I guess, so to speak, yarns. If they're all natural merino wool, let's say, then they're dyed using chemicals. So I'm going to be putting and wearing chemicals on myself when I am done crafting my, knitting or crocheting the project. God forbid it's for my kids, I don't want to be putting chemicals that's going to cause cancer or reproductive issues later on. So that's another reason I find immense enjoyment in the fact that I spin my own all natural wool, and we also hand dye our yarns using only natural ingredients: trees, leaves, flowers, seeds, nuts, bark, you name it. As long as it comes from nature, I use it. If it gives me a steadfast color that does not fade, so that when you buy the yarns, they're not gonna change color on you. Another question I get is how I got into this. And the way I got into this is actually, for me personally, kind of like a natural progression of things. My grandma taught me how to knit and crochet when I was a little girl between 4 and 5. And so I've always found great pleasure in knitting and crocheting. I've always also was interested in spinning, especially because I would spend so much money going to the specialty stores, not your Hobby Lobby, Walmart type of places, but actual yarn specialty stores that specialize in selling all natural yarns that are 100% merino or merino mixed with alpaca, no nylon, no whatever man-made junk. And I would spend so much money there that, and don't forget that they did not have, true natural dyes. Even if they were hand dyed, they were using chemicals for the most part. So besides the fact that I could never find what I wanted, I also spent a lot of money there. And what's the difference? I decided to try spinning. And I fell in love with it. I got a drop spindle from Amazon, a cheap $19 drop spindle. And I spun so much on that drop spindle that I had enough to crochet an entire large size shawl. And I still have that very first shawl from my very first hand spun yarn. And the last question: do you have to be a farmer or have a farm like we do to spin? Where do you get all this stuff? And like I always say and tell people, you can live in a New York penthouse and still spin your yarn, being miles and thousand miles away from farms. And that's because you can buy the spindle online from different sources. I got my spindle, this is Ashford Kiwi 3. I got the spindle from the Woolery. I get nothing for telling you that, unfortunately. And I got those two in the background from Facebook Marketplace. Again, I get nothing from Facebook Marketplace for the free marketing I'm doing. And the roving, which is this hair that's been processed and turned into the fluff ball, you don't have to have farm animals or live on a farm to get it. You can get it again from the Woolery, from Etsy, or you can get it from me. I sell our roving. We have mini mill capabilities. So we process our own wool and other people's and then send it back to them. You can also easily contact local fiber farms, or not local, any fiber farm, and see if they have roving or when they're going to be shearing their animals, and ask them so that they can have some roving for you. But that's for people who are really serious about it. If you're just starting out, you can easily find roving online, on Etsy, on Woolery, from me, for example, and to get you started, to try. And if you become serious, then you can contact farms and all that, because we fiber farms have our own roving that we sell. And that is what I get the most from when I go live on TikTok or anywhere else. Like if I'm spinning live at a farmer's market and people ask me questions. These are, oh, and then wait, there's one more question. They wonder if anything hurts. The only thing that hurts is when you sit down for a few hours, your back if you're not moving enough, or your bum. Those things are the only things that can get hurt. So I stand up and walk around and stretch if I am sitting for an hour or so. So for now, I have been sitting for about an hour. I'm going to be finishing this video, and I'm going to stand up, stretch, go feed my kids dinner, and then probably come back to it. And that answers the top questions I get from folks about my spinning experience. Thanks, everyone. If you have any more questions, drop them in the comment box below, and I will answer them. Take care.